The arena was supposed to be electric. It was supposed to be another night where the Bloodline's presence would shake the very foundation of the WWE Universe. But instead, it was eerily quiet in that locker room. You could feel it, like a shadow creeping into the atmosphere. There was no joking around, no warm-up music, no hype before the cameras rolled. Just silence, and the sound of Naomi quietly crying in the corner. Why? Because Jimmy Uso's injury, something the WWE Universe thought was just a few weeks off situation, has taken a turn for the absolute worst. And the heartbreaking part, Naomi was right there when it happened. She saw the pain, she saw the panic, and she's been living in that nightmare ever since. What WWE hasn't told you on TV is that Jimmy's situation isn't just about a wrestler missing a few shows. It's about a career-threatening injury, and the very real possibility that the USO legacy might never be the same again. The injury itself happened in a way that almost felt unreal. This wasn't some crazy ladder spot at WrestleMania or a high-risk move in a TLC match. No, this happened during a routine moment, in the middle of what should have been a safe sequence. Jay tagged Jimmy in, the crowd roared, and as Jimmy hit the ropes, you could see it, the sudden, sharp limp. The stumble, the wince. Most fans thought it was selling. Jimmy's always been great at selling, but Naomi knew something was wrong immediately. She told people backstage later, I could see it in his eyes, that wasn't performance pain. That was real. When Jimmy finally rolled out of the ring and the trainers rushed over, you could see the panic in Jay's face. He tried to keep the match going, but he kept glancing back at his brother. That wasn't twin telepathy. That was fear. Here's the thing WWE didn't broadcast. Backstage, as soon as Jimmy got through the curtain, he collapsed. Trainers and medics were all over him. Naomi rushed from the women's locker room, still in her gear, and pushed through the crowd. She dropped to her knees next to him, holding his face in her hands and saying over and over, "Stay with me, baby, stay with me." And that's where the nightmare really began. Naomi's voice cracked as she spoke, her eyes darting away from the cameras, trying to hide the overwhelming wave of emotion threatening to spill out. You guys don't know. You don't know how bad this really is, she whispered. It's not just an injury. It's his life, his career, his identity, everything he's worked for is on the line right now. And just like that, the chat in her Instagram live exploded with messages of love, anger, confusion, and heartbreak. Fans were demanding answers. What happened to Jimmy? Is he done for good? WWE better take care of him. The pressure was mounting, and Naomi knew she couldn't say too much, not because she didn't want to, but because the situation was spiraling beyond what the WWE Universe had been told. Backstage sources had already been leaking whispers. Some claimed the injury was far worse than WWE initially reported. The official statement talked about a knee strain, but insiders painted a much grimmer picture. A partial ligament tear, nerve damage, even talk of surgical complications was floating around, things WWE PR wasn't going to admit easily. What made it worse was the timeline. Jimmy Uso had already missed months of action before this setback. Everyone thought he was close to returning. We saw him walking without crutches at the Royal Rumble weekend, smiling, waving at fans, even doing short interviews hinting at a comeback. But then, this crushing, heartbreaking twist that no one saw coming. Naomi, sitting at home, watching her husband struggle day after day, couldn't keep it together anymore. She described nights where Jimmy would wake up in pain, frustrated, throwing his rehab bands across the room, shouting that he couldn't take it anymore. She said there were moments where Jimmy doubted if he'd ever walk into a WWE ring again, and those words broke her more than anything. But what really got fans furious was when Naomi hinted that WWE may have rushed Jimmy back too soon after his first injury, pushing him into appearances and light training before his body was truly ready. She didn't outright accuse anyone, but she didn't have to. Her pauses, her clenched jaw, her sudden silences said everything. Behind the scenes, it's said Roman Reigns himself is livid. The tribal chief is apparently keeping close tabs on Jimmy's situation, and some sources claim he's ready to confront certain higher-ups about how this was handled. If true, this could cause a major storm inside WWE, especially with the Bloodline storyline so heavily dependent on its core members. The emotional toll on Naomi is clear. She's still performing, still dancing under the bright lights of WWE, still putting on that brave face for the fans, but behind that smile is a woman who's watching her husband's career, and maybe his dream, slip through her fingers. She told fans during her livestream, "This isn't just wrestling. This is our life. And right now, I feel like we're losing control of it." And that's when the medical team finally arrived ringside, rushing toward Jimmy, shouting for the referees to clear the area. The crowd was now eerily silent, the kind of silence you don't often get at a WWE event. You could almost hear Naomi's sobbing breaths as she clung to him, whispering his name over and over. The camera cut to Roman Reigns, who stood frozen halfway up the ramp. His eyes locked on Jimmy, but his body didn't move forward. The tribal chief's expression was unreadable, somewhere between concern, guilt, and something darker. Was it hesitation? Was it regret? Or was it the cold calculation of a man who believed this was just the cost of doing business? Michael Cole's voice broke through the silence. Folks, this is serious. Jimmy Uso might have suffered a major injury here, and Naomi, my God, this is hard to watch. But as medics started strapping Jimmy's neck and lifting him onto a stretcher, Naomi suddenly pushed them away, shouting through tears. No, don't move him like that. He's not okay. I know he's not okay. She wasn't just emotional, she was panicking. Naomi has known Jimmy for over a decade, and the fear in her voice said it all. Something about the way he was lying there, the way he wasn't responding to her touch, it was wrong. And then came the moment that sent the internet into chaos. Roman Reigns, after standing still all this time, finally stepped forward. The crowd buzzed. Naomi turned to him, still crying, and screamed something that the cameras picked up crystal clear. You did this. You did this. The fans gasped. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't storyline heat. Naomi had just broken the invisible wall between kayfabe and reality, and millions of people watching at home felt it. She wasn't playing a character. She was a wife, accusing Roman Reigns of being responsible for the man she loves lying motionless in the middle of the ring. Roman didn't respond. He just stared at her, his jaw tightening, before slowly backing away. That moment was replayed endlessly on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Fans were debating whether this was still part of the show, or if WWE had just aired a real-life confrontation that they couldn't control. Backstage chaos erupted as Jimmy Uso was rushed into the WWE medical bay. The usual buzz of crew prepping for the next segment was drowned out by whispered worries and hushed conversations. Everyone knew this was serious, not the scripted injuries WWE sometimes toys with, but something real and terrifying. Naomi, still in tears, stormed into the locker room area where WWE officials and doctors were waiting. Sources say she confronted Vince McMahon's top medical staff, demanding answers about why Jimmy was allowed to wrestle at all given his prior injury history. Her voice cracked, but her words were fierce. How could you risk his health like this? He's not just a performer, he's my husband. This isn't a game. But the medical team stood firm, reportedly telling Naomi that Jimmy insisted on wrestling despite warnings. The tension in the room was palpable. Some backstage members feared the confrontation would escalate into a full-blown meltdown. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns held a private meeting with WWE creative and medical staff. Insiders reveal he was furious, not just about Jimmy's injury, but about the perceived mishandling of the situation by higher-ups. With the Bloodline storyline at its peak, the last thing Roman wanted was his family's real-life troubles becoming public spectacle. In an unprecedented move, Roman allegedly threatened to pull out of upcoming shows unless Jimmy received top-tier medical care and the company committed to a realistic recovery timeline. This is huge, considering Roman's role as the top draw in WWE today. At the same time, Naomi took to social media once more, posting a tearful video addressing the fans directly. Thank you all for your love and support. Jimmy's fighting hard, but it's been rough. We're going to get through this, together. Her vulnerability resonated deeply with the WWE Universe. The comment sections flooded with messages of encouragement, anger at WWE's handling, and calls for change in how injuries are managed in wrestling. As Jimmy Uso faces the uncertain road to recovery, the WWE Universe is left holding its breath. This isn't just about one injury, it's about the legacy of a wrestling dynasty and the price paid in blood, sweat, and tears. Sources close to the family reveal Jimmy is undergoing a battery of tests, with doctors cautiously optimistic but warning that his return won't come anytime soon. Surgical options are being weighed carefully, but there's a harsh reality: this injury could change everything. Naomi, despite the heartbreak, has been nothing short of a warrior. Off camera, she's been Jimmy's rock, pushing him through grueling physical therapy, managing the emotional toll, and fiercely advocating for better care and transparency from WWE. Fans have noticed her strength, but behind closed doors, the tears flow freely. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns is navigating uncharted territory as well. The tribal chief's role in the Bloodline storyline is under intense scrutiny, with fans debating how real-life tension might fuel future angles or force WWE creative to pivot drastically. Could this be the breaking point that splinters the Bloodline? Or will they emerge stronger, united by real pain? One thing's clear: the WWE locker room has rallied around Jimmy and Naomi. Superstars from all brands have sent heartfelt messages, offering support and urging the company to rethink how injuries and wellness are handled in an industry that thrives on toughness but risks breaking its own heroes. As the saga continues, fans are left with a raw, unfiltered look at the human side of sports entertainment, a reminder that behind the pyrotechnics and bravado are real people with real battles. And if you think WWE will just sweep this under the rug, think again. Social media is ablaze. Supporters are demanding accountability and transparency. Naomi's bravery in speaking out has galvanized a movement within the WWE Universe to prioritize health over hype. This is far from over. So, what do you think? Will Jimmy come back stronger than ever? Is Roman Reigns' leadership on the verge of collapse? And how should WWE handle injuries moving forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if you're sending love to Jimmy and Naomi, and make sure to share this video with everyone who cares about wrestling beyond the ring. Because this story, it's just getting started.